be on TV, I'm gonna try to do it.
7 o'clock. I'm here, Tom's here, Marty's here, Meg's here, Barb's here, Ricky's here, and Mr. Coffey is on vacation.
He's on vacation. I have a lot of questions for him too.
I know Debbie's here tonight, but she doesn't have anything for comment. We'll jump. We're gonna jump around a little bit tonight to be respectful of Mel's time.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I do want to just, if I can, Mel, just make a couple of changes to the draft resolutions. We do have one resolution that I do want to bring forth tonight, but as we get out a little bit further, there is a draft resolution that authorized Exhibit A with CDPH Foundation. I asked Mel to come tonight because there is a little bit of confusion, I guess is the best word. And then the next resolution that was drafted, the recreational courts, Cliff Haven, tennis, and pickleball at Treadwell Mills, that is actually going to be pulled because we don't need it. So just for that clarification, so you can strike that second one. Mel, can you give us a little bit of the rundown for the Exhibit A for the CPA?
Yes, Exhibit A is the second part. Earlier this year, we passed a resolution accepting the memorandum of understanding with CBPH. What that did is it set up basically an agreement that we were going to work with them on the grant, right? They were going to provide some funding for us for the fitness in the parks and the pickleball. So the next part of that whole grant process is to accept the Exhibit A, and what the Exhibit A does is it outlines specifically what they're going to do for us with the grant, using the grant dollars. So there's some confusion because normally we maintain a tennis court in one of the parks every year. It's part of the maintenance schedule. So what's happening is the tennis court that was on the schedule for this year was Cliff Haven. So what we're doing is the grant is going to pay for one of the 2 tennis courts in Cliff Haven to become 2 pickleball courts, because that's what the grant's doing, is setting up pickleball courts. We will still pay for the other half to be done like we were going to do. So in essence, it's actually saving us half the cost. So they're taking half the court and we're paying for half the court.
So the tennis court we pay
The
for, and
tennis
the
court we're
pickle,
paying for, pickleball they're paying for.
and we get 2 out of
And
those.
we do get 2 out of that. So I thought it was a really good opportunity for us to try to stretch it a little bit and take advantage of some grant dollars out there, and to add pickleball
And
to
you
Cliff
can-
Haven.
And you can put pickleball players on the court, and the tennis players
Yep.
on the court, and
Should be okay.
World War III.
There'll be a little snickering back and forth,
World War
but
III will break out.
Cats and dogs in the same kennel?
it sometimes is. Apparently there's, well, I don't know, I guess it would be like having foot golf on a golf course, which does happen, which is going to happen in this area too. There's a little soundbite for you.
What's gonna happen?
Foot golf. We're looking at putting that in up at the Twin Pines Golf Course in Cadyville.
That's not a functioning golf course.
He's reopening soon, hopefully this summer he wants to get it going. He's been working on the greens and stuff, so, and he's gonna add 9 holes of foot golf. So that's kinda cool. But anyway, back to the pickleball part. So they are paying for that in Cliff Haven. We've also been able to, get permission from them, well, they're going to, in Treadwell's Mills, we already have 4 pickleball courts set up, and we've committed, and they're drilled in tarmac, and they're there. What they're going to pay for is for the company to come in and paint the kitchens. The kitchens are a middle area on a pickleball court where you're not supposed to go into to hit a ball unless it bounces, it's one of those rules. But real pickleball courts have kitchens painted. So they're gonna come in and paint our kitchens and fill the crack fills. They're gonna fill all the cracks on the courts and restripe and stuff. So we're very,
Well, that will be on
very-
both places then,
Yep.
we'll have the kitchen?
You know, I'm not sure if he's doing the kitchens in Cliff Haven. That's a good question. I never actually asked him about that. We're getting the sleeves in Cliff Haven, where they actually install the sleeves into the tarmac so you can put real posts in like tennis nets. They're putting that in at Cliff Haven. I don't think they're painting the kitchens. I think their thing was putting the posts in.
Well, if they wanna donate something,
Yes,
suggest
I
that.
can absolutely do that, yeah. So I just wanted to come tonight also and to make sure everybody knew what we were doing and, you know, why we're doing it and that it really is
So
good
the
for
grant's gonna
us.
cover
I
all
think
of
it's gonna
this,
be very well
except for the
received.
one tennis
Yep,
court.
I do too, especially Cliff Haven,
It covers all of this except for the one tennis court.
absolutely.
Mel, while we have you here, I mean, I certainly was fascinated by the inaugural pickleball tournament that occurred over at Clinton Community College. You know, the department was part of that. Can you just talk a little bit about it? I know this is
That was
unscripted, but-
that's okay, it was a hugely successful tournament. They brought in, and I say they, I would say Marianne, Sorrell and Patty Husband were the two key people who really went out and fetched sponsors. I don't know, they must have had at least 20 sponsors. A lot of support in the community for this whole tournament. It raised money for the veterans group at Clinton Community, so they donated the use of the gym because it was being fundraising for one of their groups. It was a perfect place because it has the raised level around the gym where people could stand and watch all the people playing down below. They managed to put, I believe there were 6 courts up, they found enough space. I'm not sure how many people they had, but they drew people from Canada, Vermont, and somewhere,
Down the capital region.
I was gonna say Albany region, yeah. I don't know if there's anybody from Syracuse area, but those 3 I remember. And they've also made some contacts with people in those areas that will come again and bring more people. So they were wildly successful. It was well attended. A lot of people went just to watch because the caliber of play was so good. I mean, there were people playing just for fun too, but there were some really good players that came, and it was neat to see that level, and the camaraderie that existed. I know you went, and everybody's very supportive of pickleball. It's an interesting community. Yeah, but it was wildly successful, definitely.
And the sport is growing by leaps and bounds in the sense that was on CBS Sports Center.
CBS
something
Sports,
that-
they had a pro, or was it World or National? I forget which it was, but there was a big tournament down in the south, and they actually televised the finals on CBS Sports Network. So that's pretty cool. I don't know, that's kind of, it's like, you know, when you've gotten there, you're on CBS Sports, you know.
And the age range really is multi-generational. People are playing. I think it's significant that our community has kind of, you know, jumped in head first and really is seeking to participate. And, you know, I talked to a couple of people there that said one of the reasons that they like pickleball is just the way that the court is designed is they never really quite enjoy tennis, but just kind of a little bit more compact.
It is.
And they, you know, I think it's great. I've seen a lot of activity.
It's more a game of strategy
Yeah.
because it's a smaller court and you have to make shots, where tennis, you know, there's a little bit more running and it's a little different. So it's definitely very popular with all age groups, but. If you ever get a chance, when it's nice like this, to swing by Treadwell's Mills, either early in the morning or in the evening. I know there was a pile of them going over there tonight. At 4:30, they have a Facebook page, so they kind of connect with each other. And I just went and looked at it before I came in, and there's probably, I don't know, there was at least 10 of them that were like, oh yeah, we're going over to Treadwell's Mills tonight. And so that's kind of cool.
Now,
That's another
there's-
place I'd like to open a bathroom.
Is
Speaking of that,
is there like
yeah,
2 courts there?
there's 4.
There's 4 courts?
Yeah, we took 2 tennis courts and we put 1 pickleball court on each side of the net. So now there's 4 courts. And we left the tennis nets up only to serve as a boundary between them, so you don't have to worry about the
That's what
balls.
had me confused when I went by.
Yeah.
That's,
You still see the tennis
I
nets,
see the
but they're
tennis.
only there for that reason, just
Okay.
to serve as a boundary.
Yep.
Because we drilled those nets right into the tarmac, so they're not going anywhere.
So, does anybody have any questions about this particular exhibit? People understand the general process moving forward? We just wanted to make sure, you know, with this new partnership, there was no confusion with it.
We're gonna leave it in draft and pass it.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it in draft, but again, just wanted, Mel was around, doing some interviews, and it's hard to
Yep.
believe that.
Yep, lifeguards.
Yes,
no
I
cow.
see.
That's on the schedule too for your look-see. We have 9 lifeguards. I'm looking at hiring 4 returnees, or is it 5 returnees? 5 and 4, I forget now. There's
4 returns.
4 returnees and 5 newbies.
5 new,
Yeah.
Yeah.
good,
Yeah,
just
so-
the young folks. from that
Yes,
standpoint.
I had 3 tonight. I have 1 more tomorrow.
Good.
And I already did 1 a couple weeks ago. But she was a Plattsburgh State student, so she came in.
Interest is there.
And you get 5 college students and
Yeah,
Four
it's
high
good. They
school
all
students.
seem like really, knock on wood, some really nice kids too.
Where do they go to get their
CPO.
licensing?
This year, the Wellness Center offered a course, actually, they're offering another course right now. Plattsburgh State sometimes will do a course through the school year too. So generally, the Plattsburgh State or the Wellness Center, most colleges offer it to the students.
Yeah.
So they can get it when they're at school. It only lasts for 2 years now, it used to be 3, now it's 2. So they have to recert
Yeah.
at least once in their college career, which is kinda hard for them, it's expensive.
Is the Wellness Center doing it right now?
They actually are starting a course, I don't have it in front of me, but they are starting one, I believe, next week or this week.
And how long is it?
It's many, many hours, at least 5 classes.
Or like for days?
I
What's
don't
that for time?
remember off the top of my head. I actually have it outside my office, but you can just check it out.
Does it cost on there too, Mel?
Yes, yeah, everything's on there. I have 2 guards that are doing that certification. I wrote in the letter, that they won't technically be recertified until the 18th. Because they didn't do it during the school year, they had too much going on. One of them's an RA, nice young man, he came in with his 2 brothers today. Logan Williams is from Saranac. And he said, I was an RA this spring, and I had 6 courses, and he was like, I just didn't have time to take the class. So he's gonna take it and get it done.
Cool, it'll be in time for the season.
It'll be a little late, because we're opening June 11th, but we have other guards we can use until they're done.
Rotate.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thanks, Mom.
All right,
Anytime.
thanks, Mel,
Appreciate
appreciate
your
it.
time.
And,
Yeah.
just so we got, we're sure, it's basically, they each get a 50% raise if they returnee and.
Yeah, I put their salaries in there, they always usually get a 50% increase, it kinda encourages them to come back to us, because we're such a great place to work. And a little bit of extra money really draws
Yeah.
them. But we try to stay competitive with everybody in the area, cause it is a battle for lifeguards. They're few and far between.
Yes,
Okay.
thanks very much.
All right,
Thank you, Mel, for your time.
Yep, have a good night.
you too.
Yep.
See you tomorrow. I'll jump back into supervisors' reports. I just wanna make note that the Katyville Fire Department's field day will be on June 12th. This is their 50th annual. They have been, in good humor, calling it Take 2. We all know that last summer, there was the prison outbreak, which prevented them from being able to hold their field day, and looking forward to this event coming up. I will present probably for next week a consideration of a proclamation to celebrate the fact that it's their 50th. We did have one slated for last year, but given the events that unfolded, and this is the only parade that's actually in the town of Plattsburgh, so. A couple other updates. I did inform folks that today officially marked Trevor Cole's first day as the department head for the planning department. Just as a reminder, Phil Von Bargen is still staying with the town of Plattsburgh as our senior planner. And my hope is, as we continue to move forward, that Phil's experience will allow us to revisit some of the master plans and other documents, and address some other things. But with the anticipated growth through projects like Norsk, et cetera, I think that department, it's critical that Trevor is the face of the department to start building some relationships with a wide variety of individuals in the community as we move forward. But I really do feel that his skill set, his talents, as well as his ability to be quite flexible and to work with all of the different constituents and stakeholders of the town will serve him very, very well. He and I will be mapping out some time to work out a transition plan so that we can develop the items that he needs to be successful in his role. And again, I'm confident that Phil will be very helpful in providing Trevor some assistance in making that transition. And don't forget that Michelle will be there as well to provide some steady support, so just wanted to make a note of that.
In that vein, and you mentioned it, conference meetings, plan and things like that, we need to consider forming a new committee. And there are many aspects that necessarily, we don't have to do a whole new plan, but we need to look at subdivision, we need to look at a lot of the things with the solar. There's changes that they've come up with that they might wanna do for the codes and zoning. And I think that if you had a committee and they were part of that, it doesn't mean that they have to be experts, but they start learning. And I think we try to get a cross-section of people in towns to be a part of that, so that we have people in reserve to do these kind of things. Plus, when it comes down to all the plans that we have and all the studies we've done and things, people can help prioritize some of these.
Yeah, you know, in the coming weeks, months, years, et cetera, you know, I think that we're gonna be addressing or, you know, reevaluating many of these things. It's just, good practice to go back and see what documents we're using. Many of these documents should be living and breathing documents that we should be going back and looking at them from time to time, seeing, you know, keep what's working and fix what doesn't. Many of our documents are not perfect. I see it on a regular basis and try to get into it as best as possible. Ricky is our documents czar of sorts. Certainly sees the depth of the volume of materials that are down in the vault, and you know, in the roughly 231 years of the town, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be continuously addressed and worked. But personnel is certainly forefront, and I think Trevor is critical to that.
But also, he had done, 2 years ago, he did a review up to that date
Yeah.
of what we had said we would do in the comprehensive plan, and up to that date. So, you know, another 2-year update there, and what I think is we need a committee that looks at those things.
Oh, I don't disagree. I would say once we, you know, get through a little bit more of the transition between Trevor and Phil, to let people kind of get their feet underneath them. Change is often difficult for people, just to kind of see where we're going. I anticipate that Phil will take on a number of review projects because he has a number of years' experience behind him that would be very beneficial. So, and that he can take that leadership role, and Trevor can continue to hopefully develop some new relationships. One of them I think of is Victoria Zinzaguli over at the Development Corporation. She recently came back to the Development Corporation. I think she is has a wealth of experience, and her background is in planning. So to have the TDC have that type of person on staff, and have an individual like Trevor, I really am hoping that the two of them can develop a relationship as the town, you know, advances new things. So he and I are gonna go around, and we're going to have some meetings with the chamber and the Development Corporation and a number of people, and just establish some new relationships. And he has a lot of them already with the developers, but it'll just be in a new capacity, so. Just an update, many of you, by now I would anticipate already know this, but for the record, Sarah Rowden has stepped into the role as the county legislator to fill the vacancy that Colin Reed has left behind. She has shared that she will not be seeking that seat. I will be reaching out to Sarah to get her caught up to speed on a number of things that are going on with the town, as she does represent one of the areas of the town. I'm confident that she will be able to step in and to assist the county team to the best of her ability. It wasn't that long ago that she retired, so looking forward to working with her in her short stead. But very happy that they did appoint Sarah, because she does have that experience where she can step in and move forward. And I will send her our collective best, and thanks for stepping into that role. Mausoleum update, not a lot of information, but I will make note of 2 things. As a reminder, we do have that new section of the website that's a landing page, nothing overly developed, but it is an opportunity to provide some information and updates. We highlighted a couple of the articles that were published, a couple of general updates, so if people are seeking out information, you can direct them. I know it's been helpful for Ricky to push people there, and if folks in the media and stuff are looking for some general updates, it's there. The other piece of the process that we're working on is David Fleming and I have been in communication with both the Assemblywoman and the Senator about seeing the receivership period extended. There continues to be a lot of work that needs to get done, and we wanna do it right, rather than just, having it kind of tossed into the laps of both Ellenberg and the town of Plattsburgh. We continue to work with our state leaders and the Assemblywoman and the Senator. Dave Fleming, Connie as our receiver. Connie had said that she is willing to stay on in that capacity and working with the Attorney General's office to see that happen. So I anticipate, cautiously optimistic, I know Meg hates when I use that phrase, but it is, that the receivership will get some type of notification that the receivership will be extended till at least sometime in September by next week's meeting. So if I find out earlier, I certainly will make you aware of it, so.
And she's doing it on a pro bono basis, correct? Yeah.
At the ad cost of, gas and such, and, that will be towards the, chargeback to the state where appropriate, so. I did wanna bring this item up, and I anticipate that, we may see this a couple of different times. When there was a meeting about a week or so ago here, Trevor in the planning department, Mel was involved, there was a small review of the LWRP projects, but a spin-off to this conversation actually occurred about Route 3 and the speed and the road as you go up near the Katyville beach. The line in the road is actually broken, and the speed limit is approximately 30 or 35 miles an hour. And, several members of the community expressed how that really is quite dangerous, especially as you're going into the hamlet of Katyville. So, this item might come up at the Highway Superintendent's group, it may come up at Clinton County Emergency Services, and we may engage the Katyville Fire Department and just their thoughts. Should that potentially go to a solid line? It may not seem like the most groundbreaking item, but it is something that several community members did bring to their attention. You live out in that area, what's your thought?
I've never noticed. It's a state road, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So,
Why are we talking about it?
well, from the safety element of seeing to make some recommendations, so.
And people coming, out of that beach area, up onto Route 3, and you could have somebody passing somebody going through there, and when they pass, they're accelerating, and it is a dangerous situation. And they're not comfortable. I can understand why, the people who utilize the beach are not comfortable with that.
And again, there were residents that said that, just in general, living out there, they've seen a couple of situations, and it's still fairly close to the firehouse. I mean, it's not right on top of it, but it's close enough. So I'd be just curious that when we're out there, if they have any thoughts and opinions on it, so. So this may come up again, but just wanted to.
This doesn't seem like a huge thing to have a double line there.
No, but,
I
anything.
mean, it's 30, 35 anyway.
It's passing, it's really wide.
Right. People that are speeding.
I usually don't pass too many people at that speed.
But as we all know, anything in government works at glacial speed, so.
So we put on the agenda for 2025, or?
So, going into, there's one item that I do want to bring to the table, and that is Resolution 16116, the appointment of Kayla Martin as the Assessment Control Examiner in the Assessing Department. That's a mouthful. Would you mind reading that, please?
Where there is a vacancy for the position of Assessment Control Examiner in the Assessing Department that was advertised for. Whereas interviews for the aforementioned position have been held by the Assessing, Codes, zoning department heads, and personnel committee members. And whereas upon the completion of the interview, it is recommendation that the committee, that Kayla Martin be appointed to the vacancy assessment control examiner position. And whereas Kayla Martin's qualifications have been reviewed and approved by civil service, now therefore be resolved that the town board is hereby authorized the hiring and appointment of Kayla Martin to the vacancy position of assessment control examiner at a rate of pay of $17.50 per hour, effective upon release from her current employer. Following approval, and it be further resolved, the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign all necessary documents for Miss Martin's appointment for the probationary period of 12 months. And it be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager, the assessor, and one be forwarded to the Clinton County Department of Personnel for a copy to be placed in Miss Kayla Martin's file.
The only change that I would make to that, and I gave you the updated revised draft, is the first resolved is after the rate, pay rate is effective May 24th, 2016. Brian has requested that so that she can participate in grievance day. It's a one time a year process. It's critical to her role and responsibility, so we needed to identify a date that would allow us to appropriately get her, on the books.
Which
So,
day is grievance day?
what'd you say?
Which day is grievance day?
If I have my calendar correct, it's.
24?
Yeah,
It's on the
May
24th?
Yeah, it's on
26th?
Oh, it is the 24th, the day she starts work?
yeah, I believe so,
Mm.
yeah. So,
That's tomorrow.
again, Barb participated in the process along with Steve Ihoff and Brian. I met with all of the candidates. I think that she will do the town very well. I think she has a wonderful skill set and temperament. Looking forward to having the board hopefully adopt this resolution tonight so we can get things moving forward as we've recognized over and over and over again. Sharon is retiring, and this is a significant change in personnel. It's just another example.
Where does she come from? Where does Kayla come from?
She has some workforce experience in Peru, and I believe she lives in Skyler Falls now, so.
So the assessor's office in Peru?
She's done some codes and zoning stuff. She's got a wide variety of, and the other part to the need to get this ratified sooner rather than later is, within a week or so, she'll go to a training in Malone. So again, just trying to get her caught up to speed as
Yeah,
quickly as
that's,
possible.
when we meet on the 6th, that would be a couple days after she's supposed to go to it. So I'm assuming that we're gonna limit on the size in a neighborhood commercial, so we're setting a limit at this point. And that's something that future committee that's working on the zoning and planning would be able to look at again. Because it's not set in stone, this is just something we set for this one.
Yeah, and I think that is an important element, Tom, to be able to go back and use some of the resources that we've had, with Phil, to do a review on some of these items. It's been a while, and I think it was you said a year or two ago that we had asked him for a general update as where we stand on some of these things.
Yep.
So, the other item was the request for the travel and course instruction and the assessor. That one was pulled as well. Due to our travel policy, it's not an overnight, and it meets the standards where we can do it internal. So, more than anything, it was to bring an attention to you folks as a draft that we were going to need to be doing some of the training for that situation, so.
And for both of the courts, the recreational courts, did you pull both of those or just the Treadwell's Mills?
Both of them are pulled as it relates to that particular resolution. Yeah. That's all I have, folks, unless anybody has any other business. And if not, we will wrap this up at 7:32. All right,
So
thanks,
this
sir.
is no longer a draft, this is the real deal.
Which,
It says revised draft, but it's
for
not.
which
For
item
the one
now?
you
But the one thing I did
Kayla
pass out was
Martin.
these,
It's the real deal.
for people to look at for next